over 50% of businesses don't keep track of their financials. They just do it once a year before they have to go file taxes. The franchise agreement, which is typically 10 years, is longer than most of the marriages in the United States. To become a franchisor, at least 150 to 200 US. Our subconscious is never asleep. It's always work. Why waste it at night? You don't sleep. You compromise your health, mental health, and then you get this $10 million. Now what?
What's the secret weapon behind every top CEO and entrepreneur? A game-changing executive assistant. Franchisee gives you access to elite EAs who supercharge your productivity. From payroll and admin to social media and customer support, they handle it all so you can focus on growth and big picture decisions. These aren't your average assistants. They're expertly trained, thoroughly screened, and equipped with the latest AI tools to work smarter and faster. Ready to delegate and dominate? Get 15% off your first 2 months with code INSPIRE15. Don't wait. Visit Franchisee, that's HERMESSI.com, and take back your time today. What would you do if you lost everything in business? For one entrepreneur, the answer was simple. Rebuild, but smarter. After arriving in America with no money, connections, or English, he built a thriving business only to see it collapse during the financial crisis. Instead of giving up, he transformed failure into a mission, creating a bookkeeping empire serving over 100 franchise business brands across 50 states. In today's episode of Inspired by Success, we're diving into the critical financial metrics every entrepreneur needs to know, how to decide if your business is ready to become a franchise, and the systems that keep large-scale operations running smoothly. We'll also explore what separates successful franchises from struggling ones and the emerging trends shaping the future of franchising. I'm your host, Linda Vo, and I'm thrilled to welcome a true expert in entrepreneur resilience and financial strategy, Max Emmer. Welcome to the show, Max.
Thank you, Linda. It's great to be here.
Tell us a bit about your story. I mean, you've traveled to 46 different countries and 26 US states. Before we get into the topic of business, tell us a little bit about yourself and how your journey began, and a little bit about what you love to do and why you do it.
My life is actually all about franchising now. It wasn't like that when I came here 32 years ago now from the former Soviet Union. I've gone through a lot of different professions, got my education. But right now, I found the franchise as the niche to actually help people to take their life to the next level. I mean, franchising is beautiful, in my opinion, because you can get somewhere from point A for point B way faster because somebody gives you plans, somebody gives you a roadmap and helps you to get there, in a shorter period of time.
That's true. Speaking of franchise, I've always been fascinated in that world because it allows you mentioned being a franchisee, but I also want to talk about how to become a franchisor today. So we'll get into that soon. But where did this journey all come from? Like, where did this interest in the franchise model come from? How did it begin from the bookkeeping to franchise?
So before it became bookkeeping, I actually started with me getting degree in finance, working for corporate America for 4 years, and then realizing that this is not a job for me. I wasn't very good working for corporate world. I guess I had the entrepreneurship in me from the moment I was born. I just didn't know that. So 4 years in, I gave him a 2-week notice and started a business and went from 3 employees to 96 employees. It was a landscape construction business, very successful. But then they stopped building. They meaning the general contractors, because we were doing bookkeeping for tract homes. And that was 2008, 2009. That was middle of the recession in the United States. I would say the beginning of it, which was pretty hard, especially in the real estate market. So I didn't have a choice but go into bankruptcy with one baby at home and one on the way. We pretty much had to start from scratch. But we started the business again, only went into maintenance, stopped doing the franchising. Fortunately, I said we had to declare bankruptcy. That was pretty painful, but I learned a lot from it. I learned that there is no end. There is always light in the end of the tunnel, and that we can take it to the next level. So second business was more successful. And while running it, we were looking for bookkeeping for our business. And both me and my wife, co-founder of Bookkeeping, we had accounting and finance degree. I had a finance degree. She had master's in accounting. And we're like, well, we need to find somebody who can do it. And we were looking and got 20 estimates from different people here in San Diego. And the estimates varied from $200 to $2,000 for exactly the same scope of work. And then I knew something is wrong and that we have to address it because, you can't have a firm that big. That's how bookkeeping started. We were trying to come up with a catchy name. We did. We were able to trademark it, should copyright it, and started the business and started typical American business from a garage. I was doing it part time, trying to get jobs while running the landscaping business, and my wife was doing the actual work with two babies at home. And then business got bigger. We got a first employee, then we got an office, and started doing bookkeeping for different companies. And then at some point, by accident, got into franchising. We just started doing bookkeeping for one franchise. One led to two, to three. As you mentioned in the introduction, we now do it for over 100 franchise brands in the United States.
Oh, that's amazing. That's very inspiring, that story as well. I'm curious to know when you mentioned that you went bankrupt, what were the mistakes that you made? Were you not tracking numbers properly, or was it just the economy at the time? Like, I'm curious to know because you would have learned from your mistakes as well. What was the circumstances around how the first bankruptcy happened, and what were the key lessons that you learned from that?
So the mistakes that were made, I mean, obviously not knowing our finances, that was a big one. But another big mistake that I totally own at this point is not believing that bankruptcy was the only solution at this time. Believing like, no, we can do it. We can actually make it happen. If we would have done it earlier, it would be less painful because we did not have a choice. Yes, I was able to negotiate a lot of payment schedules, so we got that down and we got it all under control. But unfortunately, income went to zero because they just stopped building the track home. So I should have admitted at least 3 or 4 months before we actually did that. Again, as I said, that would be less painful for all of us. So that's the mistake. I'm not going to sit here now that I got older. That was 16 years ago. Before, of course, especially in the beginning, you start blaming everything economy, government, people. But, that's the road to nowhere. So
Mm.
nobody's in at fault except you. We own all our actions, and what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. I believe that I don't want to say that was the best thing that happened to me, but it definitely made me who I am right now. Just going through that. So I'm very grateful. I appreciate it that I had this opportunity, and I'm glad I reacted the way I reacted, and I'm glad I did not give up. So the key lesson, learn from your mistakes, and next time you will not repeat it. I strongly believe when people say the lessons are repeated until learned. I think that's true for a relationship, for businesses, for life. So just look at your current situation. What seems like a problem right now might be the best thing that happened to you at the time.
Totally agree on that one. You mentioned financial, like the numbers part, and that's what I'm curious to know because you specialize in bookkeeping. The audience is an entrepreneur too, and I've made a lot of financial mistakes in business, so many, and I've learned from that. So I totally agree because without those mistakes, you wouldn't grow. So that's how we learn, I guess. When it comes to financial leadership and numbers, what numbers should every entrepreneur keep an eye on weekly and monthly to ensure that they're on track?
So you'll be amazed now being in the bookkeeping business. I can tell you that over 50% of businesses don't keep track of their financials at all. They just do it once a year before they have to go file taxes. And I'm talking about small businesses. Obviously, I'm not talking about the large corporations that have finance departments and they have close dates and requirements by investors. So that's different. I'm talking about the truly small businesses, 0 to 5 employees. A lot of them only look at the bookkeeping once a year. So the financial statements that people should look at, in my opinion, is income statement, balance sheet at the minimum. And look, a lot of people do not understand the difference. I would suggest for somebody educate yourself, especially now with Chat GPT. You can Ask chat, hey, here are my financials. What do they mean? And
Mm.
chat will tell you everything. Then you can say, well, explain it to me in simpler way. It'll explain it. Explain to me like I'm a 10-year-old, and keep doing it until you totally understand. But a lot of people mistakenly think if they have $20,000 in the checking account that they have $20,000 income. Obviously, it's not true because they can have $100,000 in accounts payable that they have to pay to all the vendors, and then once they do, they're going to be minus 80,000. But people, oh, I have
Mm.
money in my account, so I don't need financials. Wrong. You have to look at your numbers, and if you don't do your financials on a weekly basis, at least look at it. Look at the money coming in, look at the invoices owed, because you'll sit on it for months and a half and then find out that you owe so much money and you have to pay everybody at once. So at least review your accounts payable and accounts receivable if you don't do all of your financials.
Yeah, I understand as a small business owner. Sometimes you get so busy and caught up, and I try to set aside a time every week in the calendar, like every Monday, to just go through and clean up some of the numbers, just to do my zero bookkeeping, and that's minimal. But when I get too busy and caught up, then it piles up, and so the minimum I try to do it is at least every month, and that's something that's crucial if you're tracking and you want to grow your business as well. When it comes to being a franchise owner, what's the best way for them to organize their financial reporting as well? Because you do bookkeeping for franchise owners, right?
Yes, we do it for franchisees on different brands. Well, when you are a
Franchisees.
franchisee, you actually have a requirement from your franchisor how often you need to provide your financials. So that's actually becomes a requirement, and you sign a contract with your franchisor that you are obligated to do so by a certain date. Is everybody doing it? Of course not. Some franchisors don't make a big deal out of it, but some actually confront their franchisees like, hey, we need to see your financials. And a lot of the time, they want to see it for the franchisee's sake, just so they can discuss and talk about it and then see what's wrong and how it can be fixed. Because look, if you don't do your financials for a year, in 12 months, it's very late to fix any mistakes. The mistakes can be fixed on a timely basis.
So, as a franchisee, let me get this straight. So, as a franchisee, you're required to show your numbers how often to your
It depends.
franchisor?
It really depends on the franchisor requirement. It's everybody is different. I mean, some I've seen monthly, somebody saying quarterly. There are some people that say annually, but that's usually applies to the franchisors that have access to their franchisees' books. I mean, there are some franchisors that actually run the books for their franchisees. So in this case, they don't need any reports because they can look at it themselves.
Right. That's a smart move too. Okay, let's take it back a little bit because I'm curious to know how can an entrepreneur who built their business, built the brand, who've got the systems in place and the processes, how can they tell if their business is ready to become a franchise? Like you've had the experience, so you understand. For me, for example, I want to take my vending machine business into another level after next year when I get more machines and I get more processes in place. But my dream is to become a global franchise. So, how can you tell if the business is ready to become one?
First, make sure that, well, I guess the first step would be make sure that you have enough cash to start franchising. This is a very, very expensive proposition, at least in the United States.
I went to a franchise expo. Some are big retail franchises, they could cost up to 250 just to get the contracts, but then, the smaller ones can be up to 100,000. So, what's the estimate ballpark average to become a franchise?
Well, I think the 100 or 250 that you're quoting, this is just to buy a franchise, become a franchisee
Mm.
of existing franchise.
Yeah,
But
to
to
buy to be
become a
yeah.
franchisor, to
Yeah.
actually start and do the whole process with the marketing, legal work, all the manuals, all the instructions, as I said, marketing plan and everything else, I'd say at least 150 to 200 US, and then 1,000, of course. And then from that point on, the more money you spend in marketing, the faster you're going to grow. So if you have $100 to use a month and nobody knows about you can be the best franchise ever. But if people don't know about you, how they going to buy? With my situation, when we started bookkeeping, we got the approval to franchise the day we went into lockdown in 2020. So as you can imagine, for the first couple of years, nothing was happening. So on the paper, we were franchising and we were spending a lot of money on marketing and everything else, but that was COVID and nobody knew what to do with that. It was a brand new thing. So
Mm.
again, if I knew then what I know now, I would not spend this money. I would sit on it for a while, wait 2 years and start again. But
So
again,
you
you live
regret?
and learn.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
I don't regret anything in this. So I do not I'm well way past that. I'm grateful for everything I had. I learned
Mm.
a lot. It would not
Yeah,
get me where I am right now. It would get me somewhere else.
yeah, that's true.
So I'm not regretting anything in this life.
But then after that, all your marketing it paid off. You got the franchise up and running with all your franchisees. You've set up the processes, you've trained them, and they're successful. Do you take a commission out of their sales every month, every week? How does that work as well? Or is it different, unique to everyone? In terms of a beginner that's new to the franchise world, how does it work if you're going to do that?
So every franchise, well, I would say practically every franchise get royalties from their franchisees, and the royalties varies depends on the business and the volume. I've seen people charging as low as 5% royalties, and I've seen people charging close to 20% royalties. But it really depends. Do they provide you clients as a franchisee? Do they do marketing for you? Do they do billing? What are you getting for this money? And based on that, you get different percentage royalties charge. I've seen people paying weekly, I've seen people paying royalties monthly. So it really depends on the brand. There is no
Okay.
one rule, one law that says you have to charge 20% royalties every 7th and 15th of the month. So there is no such thing. Everybody comes up with their own rules.
Because I'm trying to think of the point of view from a franchise, and then afterwards I'll ask about in the point of view of franchisee. But I'm sure there will be some headaches to avoid in terms of selecting the right franchisee. And how can you tell a good franchisee differentiate which one's going to be successful versus which one is not going to be a strong franchisee?
Well, first of all, it comes with the experience. So there is a joke in franchising that your first couple franchisees, as long as they have a check and a pulse, they're a good match for a franchisee. But luckily, because of COVID, I had more time to learn and talk to other people. Again, I've been around franchising for a while, so I did not make that mistake. But a lot of people did. They sold it to the wrong people. So the person who helps me sell franchises, he always jokes that the franchise agreement, which is typically 10 years, is longer than most of the marriages in the United States. So you're really picking up a spouse. So you have to really be careful. Do I want to see this person for the next 10 years, dealing with him or her in the best case scenario on a weekly basis, but sometimes more often, especially in the beginning? So right now, the way I pick franchisees, of course, they have to qualify financially, they have to qualify educationally, but they also have to qualify, like I call it the smell test. They have to be a good person, somebody I want to spend time with. Like, and right now, every time I go to a city where I have a franchisee, I always have meetings with them. This weekend I'm gonna be in Bay Area, and we just recently started franchise there. I never met these people live, but we're meeting for lunch, and I'm looking forward to it. And a lot of the time, if it's the same city and I go there for conference, I meet with franchisees several times a year, and we go out, we have a drink, we have a cigar, whatever it is. I wanna be able to talk to them outside of work. Not all our conversations are about bookkeeping. They go way beyond that. And so I want to enjoy this conversation. So for me, I just listen to myself, hey, do I want to hang out with this person outside of work? And it also goes about the culture. The culture is huge for us. Our hashtag for bookkeeping is cool bin counters. So really, I'm looking for somebody who's cool. I'm not gonna
Cool
sell
bean
to somebody.
counters.
Yes,
Ah, I like
I'm.
that.
I'm not gonna sell the bookkeeping franchise to somebody who still wants to do it the same old ways, if, as it was done 20 years ago. This is not the client I want to sell. So I'll pass on. I'll say thank you. We're not a good match for you. That's, by the way, the reason why I created the franchise brokerage. Because if somebody is not a good match for bookkeeping, it doesn't mean they're not a good match for franchising. So
Mm.
now, on top of bookkeeping, I own a franchise brokerage called Main Entrance, and we have a portfolio of over 600 franchise brands in the United States. So I can help somebody to find the franchise of their dream. It doesn't have to be accounting franchise. And by the way, my service is 100% free. It's absolutely free. I only get paid if somebody ends up buying a franchise from the franchisor. We get commission. But if not, then I work for free all this time.
I love it. This is really very, very educational for me too, because these are the things that I didn't consider. Because if you're a franchisor and you selecting your franchisees, it's kind of like like you said, a marriage, but this is your baby that you've built, the process that you've built, and these partners that are coming on board, they're going to be there long term. So you do want to have a long term relationship. So it's very powerful, and I love the fact that you qualified them as well, different criterias. It's very interesting to know too. And do you only work in the US? Is it a different criteria if you're going to do this franchise model overseas into different countries? How does that work?
Well, it's I said for 200,000, you need to do it in the US double because you need a completely different agreement to sell franchise outside of the US. You have to have a different set of documents and everything else. So I am considering selling skipping franchise in English speaking countries, Australia being one of them, or maybe Canada, which is obviously way closer, Europe, UK. But the way I'm going to do it, the only way I'm going to do it, if somebody buys a master franchise and they own the whole country. So that means they pretty much develop it. We'll tell them how they'll develop it, and then we're gonna split the royalties together, and then eventually split franchise fees as well. So that's
Oh,
called master franchise. So I'm open to do that, but
master franchise, did you
master
say?
franchise, yes,
So they
master
still keep
franchise.
your name, but they just build it in their country.
Absolutely. And you're doing it differently because in some country it could be a metric system. So obviously the equipment they're using in the US and all the manuals completely different. Like for example, Australia uses zero. We're certified in zero as well in the United States, but majority of people here use QuickBooks Online. I don't want to say monopoly, but they own over 90% of the small business market. So it's very, very important what country you're talking about. You can't just do it all at once. But we do work a lot with international market because as a brokerage, I help people to get the E2 visa, which is the visa to get in the United States by owning a franchise. So we do work with international businessmen and businesswomen all the time when they invest in the US market, buy a franchise, start it, and then E2 visa, it only works for about 83 countries. Australia is obviously one of them. So the countries there are friendly with the United States because it goes both ways. It means that I can go to Australia and open a business there as well. So it's both ways. But I don't know about going to you, but coming to the US, if you get an E2 visa, you get right to go in and out as much as you want, work in your own business. Your spouse can work anywhere in the United States and get a job visa, work visa right away. And your kids can go to any school or university without getting a student visa. And then it's automatically renewed every 2 years. It's very easy process, and you get an approval within 3 weeks. And the approval you get is from the local American consulate. So that's a very like if you go with the different visa, you need $1 million. The file is sent to Washington. People look at it, so it takes time, takes a lot of money. This one is easy. You just find the franchise you want to buy, which we help to pick free of charge. You get an attorney who specializes in E2. They prepare the file, and then it's sent to the US government. And 3 weeks later, you get your approval. Literally in 3 weeks without leaving your home. So you can do it from your home.
Wow, that's interesting. And so, what you've been the broker for multiple franchises. What's a good average cost of getting into a franchise? So, the cheapest, a decent franchise, there's probably different price ranges. But what are we looking at for someone who's curious to get a franchise in the US?
It really depends because it can go from I don't know, all in 60, $70,000 like bookkeeping franchise because you really need real estate. You can work from your living room. You just need a computer, printer, and a phone. To buying franchise of very, very expensive steakhouse, which we have a lot of them here are franchises. And then the cost of buying it, building it, because you go inside, it's the interior, can go over $1 million per location.
Wow.
We go to like expensive. I don't know if you have Fleming's in Australia,
Australia.
but it's a very expensive steakhouse here in the United States. It's a franchise. PF Chang is a very, it's expensive, but it's like a very upscale Chinese restaurant. I mean, they have like huge sculptures and the design is great, food is great. So it's gonna cost close to $1 million all in once you build it because you have to buy expensive everything and then build the kitchen. And then in most cases, PFC, you have to build your own building because the 90% the buildings I've seen, it's a standalone building. So you have to build your own building.
Wow. Okay. That's on the higher price range. What about on the lower price range? Like a
Well, in the
small,
low
I
range, I
seen it.
mean, I just say it depends what you need. I mean, do you need real estate? Do you need equipment? So I've seen franchises for as low as 25, $30,000, but the franchise for $25,000 will not get you the E2 visa. So you probably need to
Oh,
buy 3 locations. So you'll need to spend at least, from what I was told, again, I'm not an attorney, I have to talk to the attorneys about it. From what I was told, it's about at least 100K that I have to spend.
wow. That's interesting. What are the biggest differences between a successful and a struggling franchise? What have you seen personally when you do the books? Ready to revolutionize your content game? Meet Modern IQ, the AI tool that creates SEO optimized, plagiarism free blog posts with just one click. No more writer's block or endless hours of content creation. Generate high quality articles that boost visibility, save time, and slash marketing costs. Whether you're a startup or an established business, this tool is your content team, marketing expert, and SEO guru in one. Click on the link in the description to claim your free article and join forward thinking entrepreneurs who are working smarter, not harder. The future of effortless marketing is here. Are you ready to dive in?
To be honest with you, I don't do anybody's books. I have a team of people doing it. You don't want me to do your books. It's been over 20 years since I touched anybody's books. That's not my strong suit. But, and even if I did, I don't know what they do from the business side. So I can't really say what makes them strong or not strong. So it has nothing to do with what I see or don't see in the books. But I can tell you from my experience being around franchisors all the time, and we go to a lot of trade shows, a lot of conferences. So a lot of franchisors are my friends. We talk outside of work. It's a couple things. First of all, being able to work hard, to work smart, and then follow the system because franchise is always the system and you always have to follow it because you can't come to franchise and say, no, 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 I'm not going to do it like that. You can buy
Mm,
McDonald's and start selling pizza in there. Maybe you would do great, but this is not how you do it. You have to play by the rules. You come to bookkeeping, you can change my corporate colors red and black to yellow and green. Even though you
mm,
can think it matches your eyes and it's beautiful, you cannot really do that because it's not allowed. So you have to really follow the system. And the whole idea about franchising in most cases that you go inside and you don't know where you are. Like you go inside McDonald's in Sydney or go inside McDonald's in San Diego, it'll look the same.
exactly.
Yes, the pricing
Mm,
is going to be different and some menu items, but majority of it, the feel, you'll know you're in McDonald's. They can remove all the M's. You walk in, you'll know I'm in McDonald's, correct?
mm,
So
mm.
that's the whole point. You can go and change the color. Then you're like, what is this restaurant?
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's fascinating that you've built systems. I'm curious to know about these systems to become a successful franchisor as well. Well, what systems helped you successfully expand your services across 50 states? Because I know that the skills required, you'd have to be very process driven. For me, I try to document everything that I can and have it all in a central place and just say I'm thinking ahead 5 steps ahead for my future franchisees, and I've thinking about processes already and documenting it on video and explaining and training videos as well. But what systems helped you successfully expand your services?
First, you have to be ready that your brand manual or pretty much the instructions how to run business, it's a live document. It's changing all the time. Like we update it all the time. New technologies come out, new
Mm,
packages, new whatever. So new laws. So we have to go and update it. So you have to understand if you're doing it now, it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for the next 20 years. I mean, again, I'm using McDonald's as an example, but majority of the stores now you come in, you can order from kiosks. And they're saying that at some point you will not be able to order through human being. You have to order. I actually been to one McDonald's. I forgot. I think it was in Chicago. I could be wrong. I just came in. It's only kiosks, so you cannot order from human being. So again, if you bought it 25 years ago, even 5 years ago, it did not exist. It's a brand new technology, so you have to change the processes. You have to change everything. So everything is changing in this world. So whenever you build a process and you love it and you think it's the best process, be ready to throw it away and start from scratch.
Especially these days with all the technology changing so fast, and we have AI in place as well. So it's very interesting there. The booklet, the processes, that's the most crucial. Is there anything else that is crucial in terms of the processes that you've built and the systems?
Well, I would say, and it's not really a system, so I'm not 100% answering your question, but it's also who do you surround yourself with? I mean, have the right team of people. The reason
Mm.
why people, for example, use us for the brokerage is because a couple of reasons. First, I'm a franchisor, so I do understand what the other franchisors are looking for. And second, we work with a lot of franchisors. So a lot of them already in my Rolodex, and I already communicate with the CEOs of this company. So we do have personalized connections with a lot of them. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get my candidates discount or anything like that. I'm not allowed to do that. As well, franchisor is not allowed to provide this discount, but at least we can help them to get to the decision maker and ask the questions directly. And again, I'm going back to surround yourself with the right team of people because being around franchising, not everybody created equal. I mean, some people you probably want to stay away from, but yet they're still in business, like in any business, you know. And it could be personal feeling, the communication issues, or just, you know, they might be incompetent, which means you just have to do your homework. And the biggest thing for me is to trust your gut, because you can do all the homework in the world. But if your gut tells you not to work with this person, I don't care what it is. My gut never was wrong. I mean, I was wrong by not listening to it, by using my head. No, 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 but it makes so much sense.
Hmm.
I should do it because I shouldn't listen to my gut because logically I know it's going to work. Never. So always listen to your gut. And I'm
I
showing
like
by
that.
my heart, but I don't know. Who knows where the gut is? Here, here.
That's powerful. It's
That I
true.
didn't.
Like, no, I'm totally definitely a believer in listening to that intuition and that gut instinct because I've seen it before. A lot of people don't listen to it and it goes wrong, but when they do listen to it, it guides them. So it's good that you got that intuition about it. What industries do you think are showing strong potential for franchising right now?
In the United States right now, two or three the hottest markets that I can identify. One is senior care. So senior care is huge right now because a lot of
Especially with the aging demographic. Yes,
yes,
aging.
aging demographics. So senior care is huge. Another one is pet services,
Yes.
from dog grooming to cat hotel to you name it. I mean, pet stores, small stores, mobile grooming, whatever it is. I see it all the time. There are a lot of franchises in the pet market. So these two are the hottest, but look, it's changing all the time. So the fact that it's hot now doesn't mean that something new is not going to come in a few years. Like before COVID, I was at the franchise convention in 2020. It was in Orlando about a month, or maybe 2 months, 1 month and a half before we shut down. Everything was about fitness. Almost
Mm.
every second franchise
Was a
was
gym?
fitness, fit the gym, gym,
Yeah.
gym, 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 gym.
Yeah.
And let's remember what happened with them 45 days later. And
Yes.
now there are still gyms available as the franchise. So I'm not saying they're completely gone, but they are way, way, way less coming with the new brands than before. So again, at some point, in my opinion, there'll be enough pet
Mhm.
businesses, and then they'll switch to something else. And then at some point, demographics will change, and then the senior care is not going to be as hot as it is now because the market needs it. But after a while, you know, market gets saturated. Like if you buy now, you're going to be great because you're gonna start now. But if you wait a while, it might be too late. And you have to come up with
Yeah,
something else. But there is always gonna be something new. So it's not gonna be just void in franchising. Franchising is a lot of people own multiple businesses in different industries. That's how they differentiate themselves. They just buy business in different industry, a restaurant, senior care, whatever it is, carpet cleaning, and they combine it in a portfolio of businesses, and that's how they diversify.
I like that. Yes, it's got me thinking as well because I seen during COVID everyone was buying pets, and so now the pet grooming industry is massively popular as well. And you just got to think about the services that people will need in terms of long term, not just a trend, because your home care is one it's going to last, and just people are growing, and a lot of the baby boomers are growing old too, so you got to think. But other things like people don't like the boring dirty businesses that people don't see as a sexy business, but those businesses last for years and years, so it's something to consider as well, which is fascinating. Just say that you want to become a franchisee. Now we're flipping it around. Before we're talking about franchisor, now we want to flip it around to the franchisee. I want to get in the mindset of that. What are your thoughts on how do we find a good franchise to buy? How do we select the right franchisor? What should we look for? Like you said, it's a partnership agreement too, but are there things, red flags that we should be monitoring as well? And do we have to look at the numbers? How important is the numbers? And I think you mentioned the royalties is something as well. We have to factor that in. But once a person is financially ready, they want to become an entrepreneur, and this is their first franchise model they want to buy. What's your advice on what to look for?
You always, whenever you buy a franchise, you get opportunity to talk to existing franchisees. Just ask them the right questions. I mean, that's when the role of a broker comes along, because I'm not only helping you to choose the right franchise, but I'm also helping you to ask the right questions. Because a lot of people they come in and they're like, "Well, I don't know what to ask the franchisee." Since I have my own franchisee and I've done it so many times and for so many years, I tell my candidates exactly like, "Hey, when you talk to this person, make sure you ask this, 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 this. That's what you look at to make a decision." So again, back to what I said, having the right people by your side is huge. Having the right broker, having the right attorney, that's huge.
Just say they bought the franchise. How do you train them to, say, if they're buying your franchise, how do you train them to manage their finances effectively as well, especially if they're new to the numbers and the business world? Or is it you qualify it and they need to have that certain, the intelligence in terms of financial literacy?
Franchise, I mean, obviously they hopefully they know something, but we provide a very extensive training. And again, I'm talking about bookkeeping franchise. The other 600 franchise, I know a lot about a lot of them. So, but that's a different conversation. Let's talk about this one and we can switch. But talking about bookkeeping franchise, we provide 2 months of accounting school. We provide 6 months of sales training, and we provide 1 year of executive coaching. And that's all on top of the 2 weeks full-time training that we provide. So a lot of information goes into our franchisees' head. So we're not just giving them the brand manual and say, good luck, see you in 1 month. They go
Mm.
through a lot of extensive seminars, training, and everything. Because of nature of our business, we do everything via Zoom. So people don't have to travel to us, which is, awesome. And that's actually really, 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 really good.
I like that. And what if a franchisee is struggling financially? What's the best way to step in and help?
Well, what do you mean by struggling financially?
Just say not one of your franchisees, but just say if somebody has a franchise, not the franchisor, but a franchisee, if they're struggling financially in their business, what do you recommend what they do? Do you step in and help them?
There are ways of doing it. The franchisor can give them a bridge loan. A franchisor can help them to get some clients. A franchisor can do some training. Franchisor can buy their business. Franchisor can ask other franchisees to maybe buy their business. So there are a lot of ways. It depends on the situation. There is no like one thing that a franchisor would do.
Okay, cool. I'm curious to know about future planning as well. What financial safety nets should entrepreneurs build for tough times because of these potential things that might happen? What safety nets should we build for tough times?
Linda, as soon as I find out, I'll be a very rich person because then I publish a book and everybody gonna buy this book. So I have no idea how much what safety net you can provide. I mean, obviously think about the rainy day, but also keep in mind that you have to invest the money right because you want the money to work with you. I mean, if you're putting the money in and you have, I don't know, for example, $200,000, you probably can buy two new franchises and have triple the number of businesses that you have. That will eventually bring you more money later on, but it really depends on each person's situation. I mean, how aggressive they are, how risk averse they are. And let's be honest, where are their career? Are they getting closer to retirement, or are they at the age of 23 just graduated from college?
Mm.
Because look, the younger you are, I believe the more risk you should take. That's at least the way I look at it, because you have time, okay, to actually make it up. If it doesn't work, okay, you'll figure it out. If you're 2 years before your retirement to put all of your money and buy a bunch of businesses, maybe it's not such a smart idea. But again, everybody is different. Could be opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, that's what entrepreneurs do. They do take risks.
Yes, that's definitely true. And I'm curious to know, as a franchise owner, how do you balance supporting your franchisees while still growing your own brand as well? Because I know you have a team, but how do you balance all of that?
Well, don't forget about the brokerage also. I have,
Oh, yes,
three
that too.
businesses that have three businesses, and then I also have this little thing. Forgot how it's called. Oh, life. I remember now. Yeah. So it's actually, I'm joking, of course, because for me that comes before everything else. My emotional and physical health. I honestly care about it way more than I care about any of my businesses and all of my businesses combined. Because if I'm not emotionally and physically healthy, then I will not be able to help my franchisees.
Mm,
There is a reason why they say in case of emergency, you give yourself an air, and only when it's secure, then you help the person next to you. There is a reason. Once I understood that, it changed my whole perspective, because the way we are brought in most of the culture, especially in Eastern European culture, it's like you have to help the person next to you. It's like, forget about me, I'll help somebody else. But that's not right. I don't agree with that. I don't get enough air and I die in the process. I won't be able, because I won't be able to help the person. So that makes it two of us. So that doesn't
mm,
make any sense to do it the old way. So that would be my recommendation, is to actually help yourself think what you would do, ask people around how they did in a hard time. But I also gotta say something that might not be popular. Go ahead and take risk. At least me personally, I believe everybody should do it at some point in their life, because risk and reward diagram. The higher the risk, the higher the potential reward. The lower the risk, the lower the potential reward. And some people, they cannot take any risk, and God
mm.
bless them. I mean, I respect that. That's their decision. They gonna get the same percentage getting into government bonds. Yes, they're not huge, but they are guaranteed by the government. So I understand and respect. Like, I don't judge anybody. I stopped doing it long time ago. I'll let people do it. But to answer your question about how I balance the time, it's actually planning my week. It's also simplifying the processes and delegating as much as you can. So as soon as I started delegating, I believe in 80-20 rules. So that 20% of my action, what I do, brings me 80% of my income. So which means I have to get rid of 80% of the functions that I do and let somebody else do it. I mean, I was doing a lot of things by myself because, come on, that was the smart thing to do. But now I realize it was wrong. I mean, I hired an executive assistant, and now she does all the admin stuff. And now she's contacting all the clients. She does all the follow up. So I can concentrate on training my franchisees, because that brings me more income and brings me more joy, honestly. But
Mm.
then people make a mistake. They do that and they stop. But you have to do it constantly. You have to do 80-20 almost on a monthly basis. Like, okay, now I'm doing this, which was 20 last month, but now it's my new 100. What else I can delegate? Can you do it all the time? At some point, it'll stop, because it'll bring you to one thing that you do and one thing only. But if that's your unique ability, if that's what you really want to do, you can do it all your life. You don't have to retire.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. And I totally agree with that, having delegate to getting rid of the admin tasks that free up your time that don't create any revenue, but and focusing on the building part as well.
Admin stuff for me, But for
Mm,
example, for my admin assistant, that's her 100%. That's what she does, and that's what she's good at. So it depends on a different person. Like, I'm not an admin person. I can't be in the routine, but some people, they like it. They like it the way it is. They don't want it to
mm.
change. They want it to be exactly the same every day. And again, that's what makes us different, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah, totally. I understand. As a leader, you find out your team's weaknesses and strengths, and then you just delegate those certain tasks that you know that they thrive in as well. Because I know one of my other VAs is not as detail focused, and so I try to not shift any of those admin tasks as well. But it takes learning and practice for that too. I'm curious to know also, you mentioned looking after yourself and putting your health first. Do you have any rituals, things that you do, meditation, sports, to help you be your number one as a leader? Do you have anything that you can't go without every
Well,
day?
I'd say all of the above. I was very good second half of last year, but now after the holidays, it's very hard to come back. But I was very good in going to gym 5 times a week and scheduling it. So I would have it in my schedule. So if it's in my schedule for 4 p.m., I would stop. I would close my computer at 3:30 and would drive to a gym. Even if I had to do more stuff, because you always can find stuff to do in, but
Mm.
I would go and get this workout done. Second, journaling. Journaling helps me a lot to write down what is my three things for the day that I want to accomplish. And then at night, looking back, like, what did I learn? Who did I meet? I mean, what are my plans for the next day? And then somebody taught me huge thing that changed my life, that our subconscious is never asleep. It's always working. So why waste it at night? So every night before I go to sleep, I ask a question, but it's not like yes or no question. Will I meet the love of my life? Will I win the lottery? It's not like that. This is, what do I do to sell 20 more franchises in my field? And you don't look for an answer. You just ask this question, you write it down, and you go to sleep. And many, many times, especially if you train yourself, you wake up in the morning and you get some ideas that otherwise would not come to you. And some of them could be an obvious ideas, you just never thought about. Like, how come I didn't think about it before? The trick is to remember it when you wake up in the morning. That's a different thing, but
Mm.
it actually helps a lot. So you ask yourself a question. So don't waste a night. So I do that pretty much on a nightly basis. Just I go to sleep. The last thing I think about is just I ask my subconscious a question and go to sleep and let it do all the work.
Oh, I like that. I'm going to start implementing that too, because I do believe that the subconscious mind is very, very powerful indeed over our conscious mind too. And that intuition part too. I like that. I'm very much into the unique thing about me is I'm into the business. I love the business part, but I'm also into the subconscious spirituality and the quantum physics as well, and how we could use that in business to succeed even more. So, and usually people separate the two, but I think there's a growing trend of people that are intertwining that as well. Success. What does success mean to you? How would you define success personally?
It's a very interesting question. I mean, for me, success is not the end goal. This is the process. So I'm part of coaching organization called Strategic Coach, and a lot of concept that actually learned from them, and I go once a quarter and for 2 or 3 days at a time and just learn new things. And so a lot of things that I mentioned today, they weren't my ideas, but they were ideas that they just shared with you, and they get that changed my life. So what I mean by that, one of the concepts that I learned there is the gap or the gain. So like, if you start comparing yourself where you could be now, you're always going to be in the gap, because by now I wanted to have 50 franchises for bookkeeping. I do have 12, so in a couple of days should be 14. So if I start comparing this 14 to 50, then I'm going to be in the gap, because I'm like, well, see, I just couldn't even sell what I wanted to. But if I compare where I was a year ago, I was at 5. So I almost tripled in 12 months. So all of a sudden, same results, but that keeps me in the game, because tripling every year, like, look, from this point on, from January, I'll triple a year all you want, because that means I'll have 42 by the end of 2025, and I'm fine with that. And that means 126 by the end of 2026. It's perfect. But look, you look at different stuff. Plus, we asked about success. I promise I'll get to that. It's not like the end result. You never can touch horizon. You always horizon always moves. You never you go and it moves. Let's say you have a
Mm,
goal of making $10 million. You have a goal of your life. You work hard. You don't sleep. You compromise your health, your friendship, your love, your mental health, and then you get this $10 million. Now that now what? Now what are you gonna
mm,
do now? Are you gonna stop? I mean, if you don't grow, you die. Okay? That I strongly believe in that. So now what? You got 10 million, what? Time to go to the cemetery? No.
mm,
It's like you have a different goal.
mm-hmm.
Look at the people who
Always.
are billionaires with the B. They don't do it to do it for the money. That's probably their grandkids, great grandkids, and we can keep talking for the next hour. They'll be fine. They don't have to do anything. This is not about the money, it's about them not stopping. So for me, success is the process, enjoying it right now. Like I believe, work hard, play hard. And yes, I do work a lot, but then if I feel in the middle of the day, I have meetings and I want to go have a cigar and relax for an hour, I do that. Because for me, that gives me mental health. I'm relaxed and I'm sitting down. Nobody's bothering me. I'm listening to music or podcast or just looking at the view of beautiful San Diego. I'm just gonna go ahead and then do that. For me, this is a success. Enjoying the moment here and now. None of us know what's gonna happen tomorrow. Okay. I mean, I don't believe when people say, well, I want to work till 65 and then I'm gonna retire, I'm gonna start traveling.
Mm,
If I'm gonna make to 65. Nobody does. So I actually take time off. I travel. I see new countries. I see new states. I try to see my friends as often as possible because I don't know when this opportunity will come. So yeah, work hard, play hard. So for me, this is success. Success is today, this moment. Enjoy it and live it to the fullest.
wow, that's incredibly inspiring. I love that message. Guys, if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, please comment on below and tell me what key message resonated with you and what does success mean to you personally too, because that was a beautiful interpretation. And if you're listening on the podcast, please do me a favor, hit that follow button because it does help the channel, and also leave a review because it can grow the podcast, and that's my goal, to bring on more amazing guests as well. I love that definition of the success thing. It was very beautiful. It was very powerful, and that's the reason why I love hearing about entrepreneurship. It's also about freedom and enjoying what you do too, but also focusing on the other aspects of life, not just in business. But like you said, if you're making all that money but you're miserable, there's no point into it. I've heard other people that have so much money but they want to commit suicide, or they're just miserable, because I think you need to fulfill yourself in multiple different parts of your life in order to become successful as well. Do you have any key messages, any key advice that you want to leave with the audience before we wrap up?
Look, I mean, what's working for me doesn't mean it's going to work for other people. I mean, we're all different. And again, that's the beauty of it. But, one of my principles is if I see a door, I'm always going to open it. There's not going to be a single door in my life. I have a natural curiosity. I'll look what's inside. Look, if it's locked,
Mm,
I'm probably not going to break it. But I'll try. I'll try to open it and see. Maybe that's going to be a door for me. Or maybe it's not going to be the door. But at least I'm not going to leave this place guessing, well, maybe I should have gone to this door. It could be the wrong door. It doesn't mean I'm going to every door that I see, but I'm always looking for the opportunity. And so that's my advice. Again, it works for me. I don't know what's going to work, if it's going to work for anybody else, but that's one of the things I do personally. And also, I would love to talk to people. If somebody is interested in my story or want to know more about either buying a bookkeeping franchise or they need bookkeeping for their existing business, unfortunately, the bookkeeping we provide only for the US companies. We don't do it outside of the United States. Or they just want to buy a franchise, any of the 600 plus franchises, out of which 300 qualify people for the E2 visa, which is a beautiful way for citizens of 83 countries to come to the United States legally and bring their whole family in and have a business here and have a spouse work anywhere in the United States and kids go to college. So please visit franchisewithmax.com. It's franchisewithmax.com franchisee.com, and it has a choice of what you're looking for. Pick the one, go through this labyrinth. I promise you, it's very easy. You talk to some people from my team, but eventually you all will get to me, and I would love to have a conversation with everybody. So I'm going to leave people at that.
Awesome. Thanks, Max. We'll leave the link in the description as well. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time. It's
you.
been a really great and valuable conversation for you guys. I hope you found it as valuable as well. If you know somebody that's looking for a franchise, please share this episode. I hope you got some really good tips as I have. Appreciate your time, Max. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Linda. It was great. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.